The narrative commences with a destitute individual named Dwight. Whenever he encountered a residence that seemed to be uninhabited, he would venture inside. At this particular moment, he was bathing in someone else's house when he suddenly heard the sound of the door opening. He quickly realized that the homeowners had returned and immediately leaped out the window and fled. He roamed from one location to another in this manner, merely striving to survive. After a period of time, he noticed an automobile that was in a severely dilapidated condition and utterly vacant. It appeared as though someone had discarded it as if it were mere junk, but Dwight felt content because he now possessed a place to reside. He commenced living inside that vehicle. In the evenings, he ventured out and collected leftover food from dumpsters to consume. Then he returned to his car, perused some books, and went to sleep. It seemed as though this man's life lacked any purpose, but he had been anticipating someone's release from prison for 2 decades. He was doing it just so he could kill him with his own hands. The next morning, a police officer named Eddie, who already knew Dwight, arrived there. She got Dwight out of the car and said, "I don't want you to get into any trouble, but Wade Cleland is about to be released from jail." Wade was the man who had killed Dwight's parents 20 years ago. Hearing this, a fire ignited in Dwight. His life's sole purpose was to eliminate Wade. Knowing Wade's release was near, he started preparing for revenge. He installed a new battery in the old car so it could work properly. He was about to be released from a prison in the world, so he would have to go there too. For this, he went to a gun store, but the guns were so expensive that he couldn't buy anything. Then he wrote a letter to his sister and started breaking car windows in a parking lot, hoping to find a gun in one of the cars. After a while, he did find a gun, but there was a lock on the trigger. He kept trying repeatedly to break the lock, but in the process of trying to break the lock, he ended up breaking the entire gun. Then he thought, "I'll kill him with my hands, not with a gun." So he went to Virginia without a gun. There he waited outside the jail to see when Wade would come out and where he would go. After a while, a limousine arrived at the jail gate and Wade came out. The family was very happy to see him and everyone hugged him. Seeing this, Dwight started crying. The man who had taken his parents away from him was now enjoying with his own family. As soon as they departed, he commenced following them. After a short period, Wade's family halted at a bar. To have a small celebration, Dwight entered the bar from the rear with anger and swiftly concealed himself in the restroom. He patiently waited for Wade to enter alone. As soon as Wade entered a short while later, Dwight promptly emerged and targeted Wade's throat initially. However, Wade withstood this assault and began counterattacking Dwight repeatedly. Nonetheless, Dwight remained resolute. He launched another attack and this time pierced Wade in the forehead. Wade collapsed to the floor. He was scarcely taking his final breath. Now that his death was certain, Dwight immediately started to leave. Meanwhile, Wade's family also suspected that something had happened. What was he doing in the bathroom for so long? They all quickly headed toward the bathroom. Dwight came out and first punctured Wade's car tire and then got into his own car. He noticed that he had a deep cut on his hand from which blood was flowing rapidly. During his fight with Wade, perhaps his car key had fallen inside, so he thought of using Wade's car. "I must escape without delay." He swiftly exited and entered Wade's vehicle. Fortunately, the keys remained within the car. He promptly ignited the engine and commenced driving away. After some time, he became aware that there was an individual seated in the rear of the car. He halted the vehicle. A young boy named William appeared from the back exclaiming, "Why did you murder Wade?" In response, Dwight stated, "Wade murdered my parents, transformed them into food. Upon hearing this, the boy got scared and started to run. Dwight was a bit puzzled by William's reaction. At that moment, he began to wonder if he had killed the wrong person. Could Wade have been covering for someone else? Then he saw an empty house far away. It seemed like no one had been there for a long time. He left to change his appearance. First, he cut his long hair and beard so that no one would recognize him. Then he took a bath and became a completely clean and tidy man. He bandaged his hand and put on new clothes. Then he watched all the news channels on TV, but there was no news of Wade's death anywhere. Then he went outside. He saw a truck outside and asked the truck driver for a lift. Now he was going to meet his sister Sam. Sam's husband had passed away. She lived alone with her 2 children. She lived alone. A little while later, Dwight arrived at her house. Sam was very happy to see her brother after such a long time. After a while, they both went to a restaurant to have a meal. Then suddenly, Dwight revealed that he had killed Wade. the same man who had killed their parents. Hearing this, Sam was very angry, but deep down, she felt a little relieved. The man who had orphaned them was now dead. Shyam mentioned that Wade's family resides in our neighborhood. They are quite affluent individuals and frequently look down on me. They particularly flaunt their limousine excessively. After a brief conversation, White realized that the Cleland family holds significant power. Now that he has killed Wade, they will not remain silent. Soon, they will come after him, searching for him. Then it occurred to them that both of them were outside, and who was watching the children? This thought made them very anxious, and they immediately rushed back home. When Sam went inside, she saw that the children were completely safe, but she was now scared and came out angrily. She slapped Dwight and said that everything was going perfectly fine. You have put our family in trouble once again. I'm uncertain about what actions to take at this moment. Wright mentioned that he would handle all matters, but in the interim, you must depart. He advised Sam to gather her belongings and take the children to Pittsburgh. He instructed her not to come back until he had resolved everything. Sam comprehended that her children's safety was the utmost priority. She packed her possessions and departed. Leaving him alone in that place, Dwight needed to ensure that nobody would pursue his sister. Initially, he inspected the entire house. Then, he contemplated how he might protect himself if Wade's family launched an attack. However, there were no weapons available in the house, and his sister had likely taken a knife with her. With the limited items he discovered, Dwight managed to make do and waited patiently. As soon as night descended, he heard the noise of a car. He swiftly ran to the window. The moment he glanced outside, he observed. He saw Wade's two brothers. Their names were Teddy and Cal. They both came there in Dwight's car. Dwight understood that these people didn't come with weapons to worship him. They came to kill him. He immediately went upstairs and turned on the bathroom light. He also turned on the water so that if they entered the house, they would go straight upstairs, thinking whatever is there is upstairs and not search around downstairs. After turning on the light, White looked out the window again and realized that the two brothers were coming from different directions. One came through the main gate and the other through the back gate. Red White went downstairs and hid under the sofa in the hall. Both brothers entered the house and slowly started going upstairs. At this moment, Dwight had an opportunity to make his escape. As soon as he emerged, he noticed that Cal had already spotted him. Cal was armed with a hunting bow and arrow and persistently shot arrows in Dwight's direction. Dwight sprinted towards his car, swiftly got inside and immediately started driving. However, amidst the chaos, he accidentally collided with Teddy, causing Teddy to tumble to the ground. He exited the vehicle, lifted Teddy and inquired urgently, "Quickly tell me, are you all pursuing me or my sister?" However, Teddy had already lost consciousness and was unable to respond. Head White retrieved Teddy's firearm and noticed that Cal was drawing near. Dwight discharged a shot, prompting Cal to take cover. At this point, Dwight hastily attempted to place Teddy inside his car. But just as he was about to settle into the front seat, Cal launched an arrow into his leg. Now Dwight's blood was flowing profusely. Despite sustaining an injury, he managed to start the car and commenced driving away. Cal was pursuing him, shouting loudly, but Dwight did not halt. He drove a considerable distance away. After stepping outside, he initially dragged the unconscious Teddy from the rear seat and placed him into the trunk. Dwight was experiencing significant pain at that moment. He attempted to extract the arrow from his leg, but it proved to be quite challenging. Then in that condition, he proceeded to the store. Concealing his wound, he gathered some medications and a few supplies in an attempt to remove the arrow. However, despite all those efforts, he couldn't extract it. Blood was gushing rapidly. He began to feel as though he might perish at any moment. Ultimately, he was compelled to leave, but prior to his opportunity to consult with the physician, he lost consciousness and collapsed. Upon regaining consciousness, he observed that he was positioned on a bed. His medical treatment had been completed and there were sutures on his leg. Dwight's leg was not entirely healed at that point, but he was unable to remain in the hospital. He proceeded outside and swiftly arrived at his vehicle. He tapped gently near the trunk, which prompted Teddy to begin shouting loudly. This unmistakably indicated that he was still alive. Subsequently, he rapidly changed out of the hospital attire. Everything Everything was going according to the plan. Now Dwight went straight to his sister Sam's house. The first thing he did was lock all the windows and doors inside the house so that no one could see in from outside. He turned off all the lights and cleaned up the house before returning to the car. Sitting in the car, he was looking through Sam's old album which had pictures from her childhood. Meanwhile, Teddy kept complaining that his leg was broken and he was in a lot of pain. But Dwight didn't pay attention to his words. He just kept looking at the album, reminiscing about the happy days of his childhood. He began to reminisce about the past. That's when he noticed his old friend named Ben. Upon seeing him, Dwight decided he would go to meet Ben. He drove to Ben's residence, but only his mother was present. She informed him that Ben had moved away about a year ago, but she recognized Dwight since he was Ben's closest childhood friend. She handed Dwight Ben's contact card and mentioned that Ben now resides in the city, providing his address. Dwight drove once more and arrived at the location in a few hours. At that location, a young woman informed him that Ben was still occupied with work and would only be available after completing his late-night shift. Consequently, Dwight stepped outside and waited patiently by Ben's vehicle. Around the stroke of midnight, Ben emerged, and they began to reminisce about their shared past experiences. Dwight expressed, "Listen, I don't have a lot of time. I've come here seeking your assistance. I require a firearm." Ben comprehended the gravity of the situation and instructed Dwight to accompany him to the house. Subsequently, they both proceeded towards the residence. Upon arriving at the residence, Ben handed him a firearm and inquired, "Are you familiar with how to operate it?" Dwight responded, "No, I am not, but I'll figure it out." Ben then suggested, "There's nobody nearby the house. I can instruct you on shooting in the rear shed." To this, Dwight replied, "I've already received a great deal of assistance from you. I don't wish to inconvenience my brother any further. I just need the firearm." He took the firearm and departed. On his way out, he also grabbed a container of water to provide to Teddy. As soon as he opened the trunk, Teddy emerged. At that moment, he observed Dwight standing before him, armed with a gun. Daddy promptly began to drink water. Wright inquired, "Why did you come to my house? Was it to kill me or my sister?" Teddy responded, "We came to kill you, you fool." Following that, he revealed some information that deeply shook Dwight to his very core. "What do you think of your father? He seemed like a very decent man, but he was having an affair with my mother. When my father found out, he went to your house in anger to kill your father, but he never intended to harm your mother. It wasn't his fault in all of this, but she got caught in the middle and was killed. Then my father sent Wade to jail in his place because Wade was under 18. He would get a lesser sentence. He got worried. He said, "I want to end all this forever. I don't want my family to be dragged into this again. I admit I killed your brother, and I am willing to surrender to the police for that." To this, Teddy replied, "Our family doesn't operate like that. We don't follow the law. We follow our own rules. Now your entire family will die, including your sister and her children." Hearing this, Dwight fired a shot, and Teddy got scared. Dwight handed him the phone and said, "Talk to your family and tell them that There's no need for anyone to do anything further to end it all." Daddy made a call and talked to them. A little while later, Dwight came forward. Teddy got a chance to take the phone and attacked Dwight, snatching the gun from him. He said, "Our family has its own rules. My father committed 2 murders and never served a sentence. He eventually died of cancer, and now you're going to die too." Just as he was about to shoot Dwight, a shot came from nearby, and Teddy was hit. It was a headshot fired by Ben, who was worried about his friend. He picked Dwight up and said to him, "I knew you would mess up. That's why I was following you." He handed Dwight a gun and said, "You have a gun in your hand, but you don't know how to use it. If the bullet doesn't hit the target, the gun is useless." Then his sister trained him, and gradually, Dwight started getting a bit better. After the training, Ben gave him a gun, some money, and a little food. He also said, "Your problem is my problem. Both brothers will go together." But Dwight refused. He said, "You've already saved my life. I've received all the help I needed from my brother. Now our paths are different and you should burn the photos you have of me." Saying this, Dwight left, but Ben still continued to follow him. However, a little while later, his car suddenly stopped. When Ben opened the hood, he found out that Dwight had deliberately messed up the battery. Dwight knew that Ben wouldn't stop following him and didn't want to put him in any trouble. He will not stop following, and he doesn't want to put him in trouble under any circumstances. On the other hand, Dwight had gone quite far ahead and was eating. Subsequent to that, Dwight mustered his bravery and ventured into the Cleland family's residence. He commenced searching for individuals with firearms, yet there was absolutely no one present. After some time, he gathered all the weaponry and disposed of them by hurling them into the river, ensuring that those individuals would be left without any armaments. Following this, he proceeded to the grave of Wade's father, the very man responsible for the demise of his parents. Dwight was aware that he couldn't take any action against a deceased individual, but he still urinated on the grave because it was entirely his doing. Subsequently, he extracted Teddy's lifeless body. He laboriously dragged it to the pit he had meticulously excavated behind the residence and interred it. Following that, he ensured the body was properly buried and then positioned himself inside the house, anticipating everyone's arrival. He had strategically set traps throughout the area, yet no one appeared. When the house lights abruptly illuminated in the evening, he became frightened. He picked up the firearm and commenced scanning the surroundings to identify who might have arrived. Then he realized that the illumination was automated. It activates precisely at 8:00 p.m. He couldn't endure the wait any longer. He dialed his home telephone number and left a message expressing his desire to conclude everything. He harbored no animosity toward their family, only against the individual responsible for his parents' demise, but if they pursued his sister, he would not spare anyone. A few hours later, the Cleland family made their return. 3 individuals entered the residence, Carl and his 2. From their conversation, Dwight discovered that they were fully aware of everything concerning Sam, including his current location in Pittsburgh, and that they were plotting to eliminate him imminently, along with his 2 offspring. Hearing this infuriated Dwight immensely, and he shot Carl directly. Only 2 of Carl's sisters remained. Dwight declared, "I have no intention of annihilating your entire family. My animosity was solely with your father. However, by targeting my sister, you committed a significant mistake." At that moment, William suddenly and he discharged his firearm at White. Although Dwight sustained an injury, he remained alive. The 2 young women shrieked and urged William to conclude the situation swiftly, but William found himself unable to discharge his weapon. Then the truth was revealed. William was, in fact, Dwight's half-brother, as Dwight's father had engaged in an extramarital affair with their mother, resulting in William's birth. Dwight took the firearm away from him. He had an opportunity to end William's life, but he chose to spare him. Both women observed all of this unfold. One of them retrieved a machine gun from beneath the sofa and commenced firing rapidly. Shortly thereafter, the bodies of all 3 individuals were lying there. Carl and his 2 sisters were deceased. Only William remained alive. Subsequently, a man delivered a newspaper to Sam's residence in Pittsburgh. The newspaper reported that everyone was killed, indicating that no one would pursue Sam any longer. He not only exacted his revenge, but also avenged his sister permanently. If you enjoyed the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. Okay, next video.